we are going full pelt along our roadmap development. So we're going through a series of stage gates on our roadmap. We've got bigger batteries, ones actually that are continually being improved as a result of some of the feedback we're getting from this safety testing. So there'll be more data.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Ilika CEO Graham Purdy. Graham, very good to speak with you. You've announced positive safety test results for your Goliath solid-state battery prototypes. In fact, the results exceeded expectations. So a very positive development for the company.
Hi, Stephen. Great to be back. Yeah, we were delighted with the results, which, as you've seen from the press release, were entirely independent. So we had them carried out by the SafeBat program. So that's a program that's funded by the Faraday Institution here in the UK. And members of that program include University College in London and the University of Oxford.
So take us through the test and what they actually looked at with the batteries.
Well, it's a brutal old test, Stephen. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the video, but what you do is effectively you take a pouch cell, which is what we've got, and you put it into a safety chamber. So, of course, you have to do this in a controlled environment. And then you have a nail mounted on a jig that descends into the battery, and you can see all of this in glorious Technicolor on the link that we put into the press release. And then you film what happens. And there's like a scale in terms of how you rate the result of that activity. And what we did actually to make it really clear is we did a benchmark pouch cell with the same capacity. In fact, we used our latest prototypes that have got a 2 amp hour capacity. We took a commercially available NMC cell. So this is a lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide cathode. So, these are extensively used in the automotive industry. We demonstrated that if you put a nail through one of those benchmark cells, then you get an explosion. And in parallel, we used a similar size Ilika Goliath prototype cell. And of course, the video is in comparison very dull. Nothing happens. So that's exactly the result that we wanted.
And I suppose also notable is there was no thermal runaway that you might have with a typical lithium ion cell.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, actually. So when you penetrate a normal lithium ion cell in this way, you get that thermal runaway, which is what causes the fireworks that you see on the video. Actually, in comparison, in the Ilika cell, there was no such reaction. So, that was a very pleasing result.
Graham, what's the implications of this test result? Because we know that EVs are safe at the moment.
Absolutely. And, the reason why the industry is interested in this is because it has lightweighting implications for the vehicle designers. So the reason that EVs are safe at the moment is that the battery packs in the vehicles are protected by some quite heavy reinforcement, which actually is put there to prevent damage to the battery pack when the vehicle is involved in a collision. So they call this the pole test. And effectively, you've seen the crash videos on YouTube when a vehicle crashes into a lamppost or something like that. You have to make sure that the vehicle keeps its passengers safe, and therefore that has implications in terms of the vehicle safety categorization. Now, if you have a battery pack that's got these Ilika Goliath batteries in, the amount of reinforcement and provision for preventing mechanical damage to the cells is reduced, and therefore you end up with a lightweight vehicle. And of course, when the vehicle's lighter, it means for a given amount of energy, it's got a longer range. So that's why solid-state batteries using devices like the ones we're developing are expected to enable a much greater range for passenger vehicles.
Graham, what are the next steps? More testing to be undertaken?
Well, we are going full pelt along our roadmap development. So we're going through a series of stage gates on our roadmap. We've got bigger batteries, ones actually that are continually being improved as a result of some of the feedback we're getting from this safety testing. So there'll be more data, but also actually bigger batteries that we'll be sharing with our partners over the next 6 months or so.
Graham, congratulations on these results. I hope you'll keep us posted on any additional progress.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
That's Ilika CEO Graham Purdy.